And welcome back to Co-Work Radio here on KZSB 1290 AM. I'm Catherine Raymock.
And I'm Jane Walker-Wood.
And we're a show all about the modern entrepreneur. And we are making sure that we are focusing locally, particularly after our slides in Montecito this last week. But we're also just thrilled to have Janet Garufis here. She is the chair and CEO of Montecito Bank Trust and began in the banking industry 4 decades ago. How did you do that? You must have been 2 years old. Rose through the ranks, and you are here and just a shining light in our community. And I know that you have also, and you and your staff all have been affected by the mudslides. But first of all, welcome. How are you?
Thank you. I'm just wonderful.
Good.
Yeah, let's thank you for being a new sponsor of the show.
We're
really
glad to do
that.
it. Glad to do it.
You guys are always so involved in everything. First, I do want to know, how are your employees doing? Your bank, you've got a bank on Coast Village Road. What's going on?
We do. Employees are doing great. We have a very resilient, resourceful team, I might say. I'm very proud of them. Starting with the fire in December until today, we have been in incident management mode for many weeks now. And we've gotten to test pretty much every scenario you could test. And I will say that our people get an A+. If you lived here but worked in Ventura, you figured out how to go someplace else up here to work, and you didn't miss a beat. If you needed childcare, you might have brought your child to work with you because school was closed. And people are just doing whatever it takes to take care of our customers and each other. And it's been really, I've been really proud of them.
I know that Michael Tobes was a great mentor to you. And have you pictured for a moment what he would have thought, done, how horrified he would have been had he lived to see this?
I thought about that a lot and thought that it was actually a blessing that he didn't have to endure this, because I think it would have broken his heart.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah, you have a tradition at the bank, and I think more than any other, I'm not just saying this because you're a sponsor, more than any other business, of really being involved in this community. And with the outreach, your bank employees are everywhere volunteering. Had you ever seen anything like that in the banking industry before you came to work in Santa Barbara?
So volunteerism in banking is something that's not new. It's because of our mandate, our regulatory mandates to reinvest in communities where we do business. Certainly, banks over the years have tried to figure out ways to engage their employees and earn credit where credit is due under the Community Reinvestment Act. Community banks, I think, have a long history of service to community because they are bankers for many years were the community leaders. They were right there at the table with the mayor and the whatever. So I think that it's in our DNA as community bankers. But I will say that because of Mike's really unique way of thinking about the world and his desire to really give back, he gave me absolutely, a free road to operationalize this vision in whatever way we thought was possible. And so over the years, we've been able to hire people who are like-minded and who want to do it. It's sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy now. We are what we are because we are who we are. And so it's pretty rewarding. It's fun. It's not like work. It's like it's part of who you are.
Yeah. Now, I've often wondered, what is the difference between a bank and a trust company? And if I'm a small business, what's the advantage of going to a bank and trust versus a bank?
Okay, well, a trust company really has trust powers. It's a very specific thing. We can administer trusts. We do investment management work. We do those types of activities. We have a fiduciary responsibility to clients whose trusts we manage. There are very, very, very few banks like us left in I don't know that there's any locally owned ones in the Central Coast but us. In California, you can count them maybe on a couple of hands how many banks and trusts there actually are that are smaller.
Why is that?
That's a great question. I think because it's not a super profitable business. It's labor intensive. There's a lot of risk, and if you don't do it well, there's a downside to it. But I think it's really important to be able to provide those services. And trust services are often provided by the legal community as well. So if you have a trusted lawyer or advisor, you may use them as your fiduciary. But having an institutional fiduciary really is something that gives people a lot of they feel confident that their wishes will be carried out, and if there's fighting, it's not going to be people they know. It's the bank's going to be able to sort of, lay their hands on it.
Now, when you're saying you're investing, you don't actually do the investing. Do you work with like another company?
No, we do.
Oh, you
we
do.
We have
investing.
a full investment management
stocks,
team.
alternative investments,
Absolutely.
real estate, everything.
They will do a full financial plan for you. They'll do like the mini version if you want. They will listen to. They'll ask you several questions. Ask you, what your tolerance for risk is, what you're trying to accomplish, what are your goals and objectives, and then they will construct for you a portfolio. This isn't like, we're going to take an ETF from here and ETF. They construct a portfolio, and they do active investment management.
And when you say we've got families where maybe somebody's passed on and now you've got a big trust with many members, will you deal with all the people and send out the letters so I don't have to, I can change my number and not hear?
It's what we do, and it's what we do very, very well. We have wonderful trust officers. Therese Chin and Judy Milam are really two of the best in the business, and we have two young folks that we're mentoring and bringing up to do that. And we have lawyers on staff who, we have a lot of infrastructure.
This
built.
is very important for even a small business, because if something
Sure.
does happen, you don't want to leave your family scrambling with what to do.
Sure. Well, and I think guardianships, conservatorships, all the kinds of things you think about as your parents age. There's a number of things, and we do. We also do sort of outreach where we'll provide a small setting and give kind of, here's what you should be thinking about. Here's how you might plan for this kind of an event or this kind of a situation, or especially for people who have wealth, younger people who are raising children. They don't really know what they should be doing for their children and how they should be talking to them about the responsibilities.
So do you have educational seminars on an ongoing basis?
All the time.
Yeah, you do what's it called, fiscal intelligence or fiscal training for young people, which
financial literacy. Financial literacy training, and it's been in such high demand.
And that's for young people. I mean,
it's
like
for
in
everybody.
their teens.
No, it's for everybody. It started out as young people, Jane, but what we found out is we were getting requests from people. Could you come to this retirement community and talk to us, or could you talk to the teachers at the school, or could you? So we've been doing it everywhere.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about technology, because it is changed almost. No one's untouched by it, but it seems that it's changed the banking industry. Me too, occasionally. I can't remember who we were talking to the other day, but we were mentioning how if you're in line at the grocery store and someone pulls out a checkbook and it's like, oh. But I mean, for anyone under 25, they've probably never written a check. They maybe never will have to, and it's more than it's more than just Apple Pay. It's all kinds of people exchanging currency on their cell phones. How is the banking industry keeping up with that? And I hope we never outgrow, but tell me we'll never outgrow going in and talking to tellers.
Well, the research says that there's about 30% of the population who continues to want to have a personal relationship with somebody in the bank. And that's the space that community banks fill. It's important. You can't. It's very hard to build a personal relationship in a very large institutional bank organization.
Is that age dependent, that 30%? Is it getting
no,
so
it's
even
not.
the younger people? That's interesting.
Because when they want, they're great at self-serving, but when they want to talk to somebody, they want advice, and they need a lot of it, and they like getting advice,
Yes.
They want to talk to a person. So I think what you'll see is the transformation of branch banking from more transactional to more interactional. And, we're already adapting our branch environments to be different. We'll be building, we're opening up a new office here in Santa Barbara soon.
Really? Can you tell us
yeah.
where?
I don't know if I can tell you. I guess I can tell you. It's on the Mesa.
Okay.
Nice.
We have a temporary office open now across the street from our new location. And as we as we think about designing that office, it's a much smaller space, but it's a much more open and interactive space. Sure. So you'll just come in and sit down and work with somebody. There won't be a teller line.
Now, for people who were at the branch in Montecito, where can they come in now?
Oh, they can go to any of our branches. And Laura Taylor, who is the branch manager in Montecito, has been picking up the phone and calling first all of her business customers just to make sure they have what they need. And her clients, her whole staff is dispersed wherever they live in branches, and they're just going through their customer list and making outbound phone calls. You go to a branch of Montecito Bank and Trust. There is cash in the ATM, and we've kept cash in the ATM.
Okay.
I think, don't tell anybody, I think we had to sneak in there once and put the money in it.
But
it was the ATM operates, it works. We have a backup generator, so it has electricity and power. Our wealth office that's right there is also closed, but all you have to do is call the phone number.
Call you. Sure.
And they will
Maybe
respond to you.
Can we Facebook you, Skype you?
Sure, you can do anything you want. We're all up to date.
We're talking with Janet Garufis. She's the chair and CEO of Montecito Bank and Trust. I just want to talk about you here for a second. So, I read it 4 decades ago, which I can hardly believe. Did you actually start in the industry as a teller?
I did.
Yeah. So, did you love banking, or was it just a job that you took, or did you?
Well, I mean, I've come to love banking. I was a starving student. I mean, I had to put myself through school, and I had this wonderful opportunity. Actually, what happened is I went to Bank of America and applied for a teller position, and they were not exactly welcoming.
Really?
I felt very put off, and so I walked across the street to Security Pacific. They said, "We'd love to hire somebody." So I went to work at Security Pacific, and the rest, as they say, is history.
You made your way through the ranks, and I'm curious. Do you find yourself in a world that's still predominantly men in management and banking, or is that whole environment changing a little bit?
Well, it's sort of a tale of two worlds here. Mm-hmm. There's community banking, and then there's the SIFIs, the systemically risky banks.
Okay,
right?
Would you call them SIFIs?
Yeah. So, it's something new that came up. Never mind. That's a whole other story. So ones have to be stress tested. At any rate, look. Executive management in the very large organizations is predominantly male. It has been for a very long time. I think they're doing a better job of promoting women. I have been recognized a couple of times by the American Bankers Association as one of the 25 most wonderful women to watch or something. I don't know what they call it. It's a long time. It's way too long. But one of the things I've been impressed by is how many young women are being recognized. So it means there are women who are moving up in the ranks, and that's great because I think you need a diversity of perspective, right? I think, say what you will, a woman's perspective is just different than a man's perspective. Sure, yeah. I don't care how brilliant you are; it's different, and I think that balance matters, especially in decision making and client services.
Well, tomorrow night there's a great event at the Granada you got. Could you tell us about that?
I'd love to. Kevin Marvin, who is the executive director of the symphony, decided that they couldn't get all their musicians here for the red violin performances that were going to happen this weekend, and that he really wanted to do something that was healing. He feels that music has healing powers. And so they have a resident guitarist, and Pablo agreed to perform, and there are a handful of musicians. I think he said 13 of them. And the Granada gave them the theater for the night free.
Wow.
And so it's just a chance to bring the community together for a free concert where people can come and just feel at peace for
feel
a little
the
while
music
together.
just kind of wash over them.
It's a stunning theater for our listeners who aren't in Santa Barbara, and I think that theater goes back to didn't it, the earthquake
It did. It has quite the story.
It does.
It was like one of the things left standing.
And I know the Tobes had a lot to do with the remodeling of too.
Boy,
so
every nail,
every nail. I mean, it's really worth Googling the theater to see the pictures.
Yeah, it's beautiful. The Granada
and
Theater.
Come to Santa Barbara for more concerts because we have amazing things at the Granada every week.
We do. And it's a beautiful theater that should be enjoyed by everyone.
Yes.
We want to mention it's a free event tomorrow evening where the community is just invited to come on out and feel that comfort of music. But Montecito Bank and Trust staff will be there. And if you feel so inclined, accepting donations. And I love this. So tell me where the donations go to and how it's overseen.
So the United Way in Santa Barbara is very unique in the way the United Way Broadway operates. I don't know if you know about that, but it's very different. And when the Tea Fire happened several years ago, they rallied and said, okay, we've got to do something just for Santa Barbara, just for these victims. And they created a process where they would accept the donations because they were good at that, and they would also give them out. But what they wanted is an independent organization who could really assess the need. And so the Red Cross stepped in and organized a team of people who would actually interview the people and take the application for need.